thank you for being with us today, Ms. Prajakta Koli. And I'm a very big fan of yours, and I love watching your YouTube channels.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you
you so
so
much
much.
for joining me on my podcast today. You started your career as a radio jockey because that's what you wanted to do since you were a child. But then you had to leave, you had to leave your job to start your own independent YouTube career. So how was that experience?
I didn't really have to leave my job because I didn't have a job. I was a sucky intern when I was doing radio. Also, when I was doing radio, I wasn't enjoying it a lot, which is why when I got an opportunity to do something and anything other than radio, I didn't even think twice before sort of like leaping to get that. I was like, you know what, I don't care. What it is or how it is or how much it's going to pay or what, like I did not give it a second thought at all. I was like, I really don't want to think about it. I was hating radio so much, I bolted out. So I did not really have to worry about how things were going to happen because they were happening so badly in radio. I was like, anything other than this is going to be great.
But that it is obviously a scary experience to start something on
Yeah,
your
it's
own.
very scary. I mean, especially for someone who did not know what YouTube was. And I wasn't even like, honestly, I wasn't even like a very vivid YouTube viewer where I'm spending hours and hours watching different content and I know everything about the different creators or something like that. It wasn't even like that. I didn't know that many people. I only watched Lily's videos and that was the extent of it. So yeah, it was very difficult because I didn't, because of the uncertainty of it. Like I didn't know what it was or which way it was going.
When you filmed your first video, what was going through your mind?
I did not have any expectations at all whatsoever because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that, okay, great, when you get views and subscribers and likes and comments is when your video does good. I had no clue. So I didn't know what to expect. A. B, I was so I was, that was probably the first time I was scared of performing. Like I've always been a performer growing up. I've been a dancer. I used to do a lot of theater in college. So I never had stage fright or never had performance anxiety when I'm about to, you know, speak at the debate club or like sort of like bachpan se I've always been someone who's very comfortable performing, and that is probably the first and the last time. But I was so nervous to be performing anything at all. So it was a very scary experience, but turned out okay.
Is there like a specific instance or like a moment when you realize that okay now like people are starting to like my content? Like was there like a moment or something that like defined that?
I mean, for me, frankly, when I was doing radio, there was no sort of uh, validation that I was getting because I didn't know who was listening to my show or I didn't know how well it was going or whatever. But for me, when I started like uploading videos, just seeing the comments is when I realized that, okay, great, like, I could be putting out content, and if and there's a very big chance that nobody's watching it. That was a very big possibility, that why will anybody watch my content, why nobody knows about me, why would they spend time on my channel. But the fact that I saw that people were actually spending time and people were actually commenting and I could see good comments is when I felt like, okay, now it's sort of like it's not a one-way street anymore. People are watching and getting back with feedback or just love, and I feel like that's when I will never spend time on that. So the fact that I spend time on watching something is a huge decision that I'm making. It's a
Yeah.
commitment that I'm making towards someone. So that says that's a massive step.
It's like when we start watching a Netflix show, you have to make sure it's good, otherwise why will you waste your time?
Yeah, like you'll watch one episode and you'll be like, no, I don't like this. It's not like I could be free. Like I could have all the time in my world, but if I don't think that even though I am completely jobless for 24 hours, I will not give an hour to the show. That means the show is not something that you care about.
Yeah. So according to you, like you are a very successful YouTuber and entrepreneur. This is your own business,
Thank
your
you.
own venture. So according to you, is there like a secret like rule book or like guidebook according to you? Or like what are your tips?
I think my tip number one would be get a team, get a team that understands your vision. Build a team that you know is as involved as you are. Get a team that is critical, That is not a group of yes men telling you, yes, great job, Prajakta, good job, Prajakta, you're going great, Prajakta. No, you need people to tell you that, oh my God, this is a mistake, or this is not how it's done, or you screwed up. But because I'll tell you why. I was someone, honestly, I was like, you know what? No, I want to write my own videos. I want to shoot my own videos. I want to edit my own videos. And that's how it's going to be. I can't trust anybody with my content. Even though I had a very capable team to do that for me, even then when I started off. But then later on, I realized that, I was using all my time and doing things that I could easily delegate. And then I would get more time to spend on my skills, what my part of the deal was, which is content. So that's when I sort of started delegating and started seeing a huge difference in everything. So I feel like, I know it's a very difficult thing, especially if it's your baby, if it's your own venture, if it's something that's very personal to you. It's a very difficult thing to let go of that and trust other people to handle it. And you will, like, luckily for me, touch wood, I have not met anybody in the team like that has sort of been like a rotten apple. That never happened, but it happens most of the times, where you will trust people, that you will think of people in a way that they're not really, and there will be things that go wrong. But like after trial and end up with if you end up with a team that cares for your business as much as you do, or even close, then you're a winner. For me, my team cares about my channel much more than I do sometimes. Like sometimes I just be like, and so they'll be like, no, we're gonna do it right. So yeah, I'm very blessed.
Yeah, I can relate with what you said, because I, like, even though I'm just a student, whenever we get assigned like a group project or something in school, I never want to let anyone do anything in it, because I'm like,
yeah, and I did that.
Like, even though it's equally as much theirs as much mine, but I'm still like, why? Can I just do the whole thing?
Yeah, because a lot of times in your head. So what used to happen with me is that when I used to write a video, I used to write it keeping in mind how I'm going to shoot it. And then when I was shooting it, I used to keep in mind how I'm going to edit it. So for me to break that chain, but I was like, how do I ever get anyone to understand what's going on in my head? Like, I have this plan, I have a system, and everything's going by that. So why would I break that chain? But then, like, you get stuck, and then you can't try new things if you get only limited to your capabilities.
What are the qualities you admire in your role models? Who are they?
I'll be very honest with you. I mean, I and this is not just me trying to sound like Dr. Phil, but honestly, I feel like I have so many great people in my life, and all of them bring so many amazing things to this relationship that I share with them. My sister, my mom, my family, my parents, my team. Everybody sort of has like something or the other that I lack. So, which is why I really, really look up to everybody. Like I feel like there is nobody that I've met that I haven't looked at and felt like, oh my, you know what, I can learn this from this person, or this is a great quality. My fellow creators, so many of my fellow creators, I look at them and I'm so inspired, because we're all like, we get each other's struggles and we get each other's journeys, but everyone has such a different way of looking at it. So there's always great perspective. But having said that, I really, really look up to Ellen DeGeneres. I really want to meet her sometime. Meeting Michelle Obama was crazy inspiring. I mean, I've only heard her speak and, seen pictures of her, and I've read her book, but I never really got a chance to, like, I never thought I would meet her. So her, for sure. I really look up to Anne Frank. I loved how she was so positive through everything. Her diary is one of my favorite books. So yeah.
I remember that when you went on your trip to Los Angeles, you went to the Ellen.
Yeah, I did. And then when I was in Amsterdam, I was standing outside Anne Frank's house and I didn't get tickets. So I was just like, oh boy.
So there are a lot of like young girls who are my age who look up to you. So what is, like, if you had to give them a few words of encouragement or advice, what would you say to them?
How old are you?
I'm 15.
You're 15. So I'll say stay in school.
Yeah. I love school. I will never leave.
Yeah, like stay in school. Please get your college degree. And I don't say this because I'm holding an academic banner up. I'm not saying that, you need to be qualified. I personally feel like college is so much more than getting a degree. School is so much more than just grades. It is relationships, it's friendships, it's mistakes, it is experiences that you will literally never get anywhere else. Like, you cannot live any of the experiences outside of a school that you will inside. You will never live any experiences outside of college that you will live in college. So degree, great for me, it's an added bonus for, but everything else is what sort of just like shapes you so much as a person. uh, I didn't know that I could do theater till I started college and I joined the theater committee, and I was just like, oh, okay, I can do theater now. I didn't know that I could be, a host till I actually started hosting college events. Like, there was so many. I didn't know I could be a photographer, or I didn't know I could be a writer. There were so many aspects of my personality that were completely unknown to me, although I've lived in this body all my life, but until I reached college and there were these circumstances and these challenges that I faced, where I sort of came out knowing myself a little better. So a number one advice would be that please get as much education as you can, like live it all. And I feel like, this is completely my school of thought. Different people have different opinions, and I respect that. But for me, I feel like that you need to, especially when you're young, when you're 15, 16, I feel like now is a great time to start exploring what you want to do with your future. I mean, you don't necessarily want to sit down with, okay, this is what I want to do and that's it. I'm not going to let anything change that. But like having like a ballpark idea of what you are thinking, or what field or what area or what sort of specifics of any profession are you more interested in. Because when you're 15, you are intrigued, you want to try new things, you want to learn new things, you want to see it. The world is your oyster. You have a lot of time on your hands to actually sit down and think of all these things. So I feel like maybe having at least a slight idea about what you want to do, instead of like giving your 10th grade and then being like, maybe I'll depend on my 10th grade results to decide if I want to go into arts, commerce or science. I feel like just juggling your future around like that is a little scary, at least for me. And other than that, I mean, if you're a young girl, I'll say that, and I can only say this to young girls because it doesn't make sense to young boys. If you're a young girl, please never ever let the filter of gender ever get to you. There is nothing that a boy can do and you can't. So please don't let that get to you, and make sure that you have that very clear in your head. Like, don't ever get into sort of like an area in your brain where your thoughts are like, maybe if I was a guy, I would have done that. Like, never let that complicate anything. Don't put that filter. That is a lot of long advice. You should just cut it all out and say stay in school.
I agree, and I wouldn't trade my school experience for anything.
Right?
I love school. But and because like I also just had my 10th exam.
Okay.
Just had them in like March, and right off. So because of that, I hadn't gone to school since December, and we were just at home studying, and then this happened. So I haven't been to school for about 6 months now.
Yeah, and you miss your
yeah,
friends.
we have online classes, but what's the fun in that? I mean, it's the experiences. It's all what makes it.
Sitting in class with your friends and like passing notes or like passing.
Yeah, exactly. You get that the teachers don't get that. That like whispering or making a joke to your friend about someone said.
Like it's a whole, and again, like I said, there is no place on earth where you can ever get to live this experience again. It has to happen in a classroom.
I agree, and like I'm only 15, but I can already realize that as I'm getting older, my responsibilities are increasing. Like, I have so much more work now than I did last year.
Yeah. And that's just going to keep increasing, my friend. That's just going to keep, and that's the fun. It's going to be great.
Where do you think you'll be in life 10 years from now, 2030?
I mean, 5 years ago, I did not know I would be here. and I am very pleasantly surprised. So I do not want to. I'll tell you what. I always grew up the kid who knew exactly what she wanted to do. I was just like, okay, great. I'm going to study till 10th. Then I'm going to do arts for 11th and 12th. Then I'm going to go for mass media. And then I'm going to start interning at a radio station. And then I'm going to become a radio jockey. And everything I did not like, I had these flaps on where I was like, I don't want to look at anything else because my plan is set. What happened is I possibly alienated so many great opportunities on the way because I was so set on this one thing. And then that one thing didn't work out. So I was just like, oh my God. So when I started doing YouTube, I realized that, not having like a dot to dot map actually works out well. Where you sort of let things happen and you sit back and you just work hard and you do your thing and you try doing new things and you try to push the envelope for yourself every day. And then you let great things happen to you. And by far, touch wood, the past 5 years have been amazing. I would have never imagined that I would be here. Which is why I do not want to put a cap on where I'll be in the next 10 years. All I know is that I'll be happy.
You were a very lucky woman and you got to work with Michelle Obama. And you were the Indian ambassador for Creators for Change. So, like, how was that experience?
It was great. Again, it's very how do I say, it's a very gratifying experience to live something like this where I never imagined that I would have a life where one day I would be packing because I'm going to Washington and I'm going to be having tea with Michelle Obama. Like, that is not something that was on my thought radar at all. But having said that, I have to give a lot of credit to my team. I have to give a lot of credit to my audience for sort of putting me up in this position where I get considered for things like that, where I get visible to people outside of my fraternity, to people outside of my immediate circle to see that I am capable of doing something. So I owe it all to the audience and my team. And it's great. It is amazing. It's absolutely like, it's nerve-wracking where you're just like, oh my God, what am I going to say or what am I going to do? But then she is so regular. She's so much like you and me. She's so relatable. You meet her and you feel like, well.
So when you started YouTube, you said that like you started watching Superwoman's videos and that's like what your inspiration were. And just like her, you also play all the characters on your channel.
I do.
So who is your favorite character to play and why?
I think Montu is my easiest character to play. It is very easy for me to slip into a Montu when I get the clothes and the wig on. It takes me some time to slip into my mom's character and my dad's character. Sonia's character I haven't done in a long time.
Oh wow, God, I love those videos.
But it's very difficult for me right now to become Sonia. Like I think I'll have to practice a little bit, watch some Sonia videos and then I can be her. Like, I've lost touch with Sonia completely. That's how long it's been. But I think Montu.
Everyone usually talks about like, the fun side and the good side of YouTube and entrepreneurship, but I don't think many people know that just like everyone else, you are also a normal person and you also of course face problems. So what are some of the like problems that are part of like the entrepreneurship and YouTube package, but nobody talks about them?
I think one of the biggest challenges that a creator faces, and I'll honestly, I can only speak to you from a creative perspective, because all the rest of the headache when it comes to sales and PR and marketing and all of that is taken care of by the team. I'm like, I don't understand that. I don't speak numbers, so I have no clue. But one of the biggest challenges that I feel like every creator on the platform from time to time faces is innovating when you hit monotony. Because there's so much content on the channel, eventually you're going to reach a point where your content gets lost in the hundreds of millions of minutes worth of content that gets uploaded every day on the platform. It becomes monotonous for a viewer. It also becomes monotonous to you as a creator. I feel like that's when every few months, every creator goes through, at least for me, every few months I go through sort of this creative block where I suddenly feel like what was working till 2 weeks ago is not working anymore. Not for my audience, not for me. Because you grow up, your audience grows up, perspectives change every day. New things are coming and new trends are starting. So I feel like just that innovation is my biggest challenge. is the biggest. I wouldn't call it a struggle, because every time that has happened, it has only picked my channel up for the better. I mean, it was never like, okay, great, now I'm in a block and that's it, shutters down. That's never happened. So that is one of the bigger challenges. Another challenge, it's not a challenge because again, it's a choice that you make, and I'm very proud of that choice. But it comes with its pros and cons. Another thing is that when you become a creator, especially when you have your own channel and you have your own business, you sort of give up on everything else. Like, you think about work, and you like thinking about work almost for every minute that you spend awake. You will put in extra hours because if you don't, nobody else will. You will work till your work is done because you don't have anyone to do it for you. You own it. Where you will end up losing touch with friends, where you will reach a point where you don't hang out so much with your family as much as you used to. You will reach a point where you don't have time to always go out and meet your friends or go for lunches or make big plans or travel a lot, take vacations. And all of that is worth it if you make that choice. I mean, if you are like, look at it, like if you're working for someone else and this is your life, you will hate it. But I'm like, why am I even doing this? I don't even like. But if you're working for yourself and you love what you do, you're going to love it. And these are all choices you'll make yourself. But a lot of times it is sort of difficult to get the people around you to be okay with this life of yours. And that's okay. That's fine. You cannot expect everyone to get your vision as well as you do, which is fine. You should cut them some slack. But I think other than these two, life is, it's amazing as a YouTube creator. I mean, I wouldn't want to be anything else.
Yeah, I mean, you get so much love and it's so fulfilling. I mean, why won't you enjoy it?
Exactly. I mean, it's all worth it. There are so many days when I just break down saying I have too much on my plate. I can't do this. I haven't slept in days. I haven't eaten in days. And I feel weak and I feel like I just want to sleep and I don't want to take anyone's calls. I don't want to touch my phone. I don't want to write. I don't want to shoot. And I was having a similar moment when I was shooting in Rajasthan. We were shooting for a very fun project. And
yeah,
so
no, I used to see all the Instagrams and I'm still waiting to see what it is.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that was the toughest month because I used to do a 12-hour shift shooting the project. Then I would come and I would shoot for my channel. I would take care of, like, I would reply to emails. I would catch up on work. Between everything, I would keep traveling back and forth between Mumbai and Rajasthan because I had to shoot videos. I didn't want to miss any Thursdays. I had events here. We had meetings. We had commitments. So that month, by the end of that month, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I really don't want to do this. I want to stop this madness. I've got too much on my plate. And that's when the Michelle Obama mail came in. And I was just like, you know what? It's fine. It's all worth it. So I just feel like, every now and then you do reach a point where you're about to break, but there's always something that happens. There'll be a mail that comes from one of my viewers. There'll be something like this that happens. Or I'll run into a viewer at a mall and or I'll, it's things like that happen and I just feel like, what, it's so much bigger than I see. So yeah.
So you had a YouTube original series, Pretty Fit, and like, what was your favorite episode on that? And apart from that also, who were like your top 3 most interesting people you worked with?
So it was just 6 episodes and I'll tell you very honestly, one of the reasons why again, shooting that show was, oh my god, it was so hectic because it was all outdoor activities and we were shooting every episode. We were shooting for 2 days outdoors and it was hot. Oh boy,
Mumbai,
fun times. And I'll tell you why I enjoyed that the most is because all the 6 ladies on that show were very inspiring in their very, very own way. I mean, my shot, although that wasn't the first episode that came out, but the first episode we shot was Sumukhi's. And again, Sumukhi and I had never met before. We'd only heard of each other's works, but we met and we just instantly hit it off. And I was like, great, this is a great vibe. It was a very tough experience but it was made extremely easy because of these ladies, who were just being themselves unapologetically, and they were sweet and they were honest and they were hardworking and they did it for me.
And I know like like your biggest, who you wanted to work with, and your most exciting one? I already know that answer. It's Hrithik Roshan.
Yeah.
But who were like the top, like most interesting person apart from the YouTube original?
I mean, Ritik was amazing. We leave him out of this. There's no one in that place. Ayushman, I've been a big fan of. Also, Ayushman, I remember meeting Ayushman a couple of times when I was doing radio, and he was extremely nice to me. And I'll never forget that because when you're a radio intern, you get pushed around and nobody cares about you, and you're in the bottom of the food chain, so nobody really cares if you felt bad that they treated you badly. But he still chose to treat me very nicely. He was a very nice person. I will never forget that. Also, he's a very creative person because he was a radio jockey. He is a creator, which is why when we were doing a collab together, he added so much to that video when we did the blind date video. So Ayushman, speaking to Nawazuddin Siddiqui was again very, very inspiring because I've been such a fan of his work, and I never thought that I would actually get to sit down with him, even after the shoot and have coffee. It was so normal. He was like, "Chalo coffee pite." I'm like, "Oh, okay." When I shot with Kajol, it was quite crazy because I am a mad Kajol fan, and it was so nice to see that her energy matches my energy because I'm always like, "Ha," and she's always like that. So we really hit it off. It was really nice. She speaks Marathi, so we spoke in Marathi to each other again. She's everything I'd imagined her to be. I wasn't disappointed at all. So Kajol, I think, yeah.
3 years ago, you came out with your first song, Shameless, and promoting mental health. So, like, what is your the most fun part of that experience? Because
the most fun part of shooting Shameless, I mean, it was 2 whole days of madness. I think it was fun every time I had a creator shooting with me. I mean, I had Sahil Khattar in it, I had Sonal, I had Mithila, I had Raftar, I had Gaurav Gera, I had Raghav, I had Malishka. So every time I was shooting with a creator, it was really, really fun. Also, I did a lot of characters, so getting into those makeups and get-ups was also quite fun.
Okay. So, if you had to define the term like Supergirl, how would you define it?
I would define it as someone who is not afraid of being herself. I feel like anyone who is unapologetic about the way they are and they take pride in their abilities and skills, that does not mean you become a horrible person to everybody saying I'm unapologetic, but someone who is not scared of being who they are, because we are so under pressure constantly to be something, like be like someone, look like this, talk like this, be like this person, bagal wali ke itne marks aaye tumhare bhi utne aane chahiye. So in that chaotic world, if there's a girl who is not afraid of being who she is, then I think that's a Supergirl.
Apart from work, even though you absolutely love your job, but sometimes obviously it gets hard. And what's your small escape, or like what do you do beyond except your work? Like what do you enjoy doing?
I love reading, so I read books. I work out
with your chai.
Yeah, with every morning with my chai. I work out. I absolutely enjoy doing that. I love afternoon naps. On days when I don't have a lot of work, I'll just take a nap. I mean, that's as good as a vacation for me. But every now and then, I also love travel. I really like travel. So every chance that I get, I take a week off every now and then, maybe once in a year or twice in a year. And I go to a new country, I eat great food.
So, because of like the ongoing pandemic, it's changing like literally everything. And you had a very like out and about routine, and so like how is like quarantine affecting your life, and like what's like the good thing about it?
The good thing is that I got a much needed breather. I mean, I got some downtime, and I know there is never like, even when you start working, you'll realize that you can always plan that, oh, I'm going to take a week off work and do nothing. It never happens. Like, you will always do something because you love your work and you don't want to let it go also. But these situations sort of forced me to stay home. So I got the much needed downtime. I got time to spend with my parents. I missed it so much. I don't remember. It had been like months since I'd eaten dinner with my parents. But now I do that every day. Dinner, lunch, breakfast, chai, everything I eat with my parents, and it's amazing. Um, I never really afternoon naps are a win. I mean, I've been taking a lot of those. I started working out in this lockdown. I was never a workout person. I always wanted to be, but I never was. And that happened after lockdown happened. So that's a win. I get more time to watch shows, watch things, read more books. So I think it's been great so far.
Like, I didn't think I would enjoy this because I had been waiting for my board exams to get over to like
So you can
finally have a life again. And then it just didn't happen. But I'm so used to it at this point, and I made the most out of it. Yeah, I mean, because of that I hadn't spent time with my younger brother for so much time because he's very Vela. So I hadn't spent time with him, and now we like spend so much time. We spend the whole day together. What is your most interesting fan encounter story? Like the most interesting.
My most interesting, I can never pick one because I really, really like meeting viewers. And every time I meet somebody, it is more of an experience for me than it is for them. Because it's a massive thing for me that someone recognizes me when I go anywhere. But it's always inspiring, or it's always like a very feel good feeling when people come and tell me that they were going through a tough time and my videos helped them through it, or Shameless was a big factor in them accepting the way their body is, or they what, like you said, it's very nice to hear that you watch my videos with your whole family.
So far, you in your career of like YouTube career of 5 years, what is by far like the one thing that tops the most exciting experience that like tops it all? Like it's the highlight.
I think the meet and greet that I did last year when we launched No Offense, I think that tops everything off. I mean, we had about 7,000 people coming and meeting, and I was just like, how is this even happening? And nothing can come close.
I remember seeing it on your Instagram, and I wished I lived in Mumbai. Thank you so much for your time. And
Okay, thank you so much.
I love talking to you.